Okay, let's make sure that everyone can see you. Get comfortable, Lozzie. The best-selling author, get comfortable. Let's just make sure she's happy. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is how we began.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. If you have a drink, please raise your glasses, even if it is water. Beautiful. Okay, so I have the pristine honor and privilege tonight. It's fun because at the live launch, Lozzie was backstage, but so you get the extra special privilege of having her right here next to me. But honestly, you guys, it's such a privilege to bring this queen to you tonight and to talk about everything that we're going to talk about. It is the conversations that we all need to have, whether you're having them or not. But the gift of being a best friend to Lozzie, and I think the gift of this launch in terms of being the one to bring her to you, is that I have been witness to the embodiment of this book. And watching Lozzie over the last 3 years, longer, but definitely the last 3 years, that's the process of the book, has been my greatest privilege and joy. And so when you read this book, please know everything she talks about is so deeply true and so deeply real and so deeply necessary for all of us as women to be having these conversations with ourselves first and foremost, and then of course with our girlfriends as well. So I joked with Lozzie and I said at the book tour as well, I was like, I don't know, hands up actually if you've got a copy of the book already. Yes, I see you, Lizzie. Phenomenal. Okay, that was a lot. Incredible. And hands up if you have if you've started to read the book already. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, amazing. So you will all know then, and not like be interactive because we can see you, just so you know.
And if your camera's not on, please turn it on. We'd love to see you and just have a chat with you.
Yeah, it's interactive tonight. Pretend like it's live, right? Because we're used to this now. But if you don't know, if you haven't yet even opened the book, The Surrender Project, written by Lauren Kerr, is her private diary entries, knowing, of course, that it was going to be a book eventually, but it is a very real and raw account of surrendering, essentially, absolutely, over the last 3 years and becoming, I say, almost maiden to mother. And I joked at the live launch and I said, I honor her so much more than anyone because there's no chance in hell I could ever release my diary entries because they're just filthy. They're just naughty and bad. And Lozzie's are these beautiful, like truthful, intelligent conversations about what we need to be talking about as women. And so tonight we're going to dive in. But let's set the intention for tonight. Let's begin there. So Lozzie, welcome.
Welcome. It's so nice to have you all here. It's so special. I don't know how many of you have got a vision on your heart or something that you're just passionate about and one day you hope you do. And this book was one of those things for me. And we had a vision of bringing it to life. Just know that you guys are part of that. And you guys this is so special, and seeing all your faces on tonight, just from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say a thank you. And it means so much. And I'm just so excited for the conversation. And the intention for the book is essentially the same intention for tonight. Like when I was writing it, I wanted you to feel when you were reading it as if you were having a really intimate conversation with your girlfriends. Like you've had a fuck it moment. I hope you haven't got kids around, guys. There might be some swearing tonight, but you've had a fuck it moment and you're like, I'm going to my best friends with a bottle of red and we're going to talk about everything. We're going to cry. We're going to laugh. And that's how I wanted the book to feel. I wanted to feel like you were having a real and raw conversation with your best friend. And you were getting to say all the things that maybe you're thinking that you're not saying because it feels taboo, or maybe you feel judged, or maybe you feel alone in it. And so that was the intention by the book. It's not, I don't know if any of you have read my first book. My first book is, my first book is back in research and science. It's very about, if you don't know my story, my background is in psychology. So my first book was all about education, and it's very much about empowering you with your psychology so it can be one of your biggest superpowers. This book is very different. It's not a matter of a fact. It's not like telling you how it is. More so you're hearing my inner dialogue as I work through my own shit and things that I was facing in my life. So it's not about this is right, this is wrong. It's just like, this is what I'm going through. This is how I'm feeling. There's no like telling you how it is. If anything, it's inspiring you to get curious and ask yourself the same questions as I'm navigating these subjects in the book, which, like I will talk about tonight, I felt really taboo and alone as I was navigating them. But as I started to talk to my best friends in this phase of life as a woman, and even women like my mum, who's on the call tonight, which is very special having my mum here. It's interesting having these conversations and comparing them to when she was my age. The conversations haven't really changed. The context has, but women are craving this space and opportunity to have the conversation. So the intention for the book, like I said, it was just a real, raw, intimate conversation with best friends. And that's what I want tonight to be. I just want you to like feel like you've just come over to your best friend's house, a bottle of wine.
You kind of have.
You have.
Yeah,
thank you.
have, yeah,
or if you're drinking a cup of tea, you've come over for a cup of tea late at night. We've got another girlfriend
here. Best friend on the couch tonight. But that's what tonight is.
Yeah, just soul chat.
Yeah.
Soul chats with your best friend, talking about, like I said, a lot of the things that I think a lot of us women are navigating behind the scenes, but we don't say. And I just hope tonight you leave with, after a belly of laughs, and your soul feels full, and maybe you don't feel crazy because you can identify yourself in another woman's crazy thoughts, and you realize that we're all kind of crazy.
Okay, we are definitely all crazy. And can I say, I suppose if I can set an intention off the back of that for you and you on the Zoom tonight, is that I know, and this is special, just so you all know, I feel like this tonight is special because we did the live launch, obviously in the Gold Coast, which was sold out, incredible, live audience, which was incredible. But we could feed off the feedback. And so much of what I heard on that night was that women actually said, which is wild for us because we have these conversations. But I did hear from so many women saying they don't get to have these conversations, and they need to have these conversations, and they want these conversations. So after tonight, and we were laughing before, what did you say before?
So I said a lot tonight.
You said a lot tonight.
What have I said?
You said how friends have been, I'll say, Lozzie's an activator, right? And an expander and awakener. And this is what the book is about for me. It will activate you, it will awaken you, and it will expand you. And I think if it does any of those things, and I know it will do those things, make sure that you are inspired to trust that you can have these conversations with your girlfriend, and that you're not alone, and that we get to have them on the couch tonight. We're going to talk about lots, right? We go into all things, but make sure that when this ends, you feel inspired and motivated enough to trust that you can go and be that woman with your girlfriend and continue those conversations.
I love that. Thanks.
You're very welcome. All right, so let's talk about let's introduce you first, because I know we've got lots of you on here. We've got 53 of you on here, and then lots are going to watch the recording as well. So I've read the book, I know you very well, but I want to talk about, in the book you talk about your rupture moment, right? So there was something to happen to need to surrender, right? For all of us, there's something that happens that ruptures in our life that makes us need to surrender. And so take us back to that moment. What was your rupture to surrender, to say, I need to figure this out? There's something in my life that's wrong that I need to repair. Take us back to the rupture.
Yes. So this book actually starts, it's crazy because it takes a while to come into fruition, but this book was written 3 years ago. And actually, I started writing this through COVID. And I don't know if many people are going through the same motions. This is where I was at the start of COVID. I have spent the last 10 years, the last decade, which is crazy because I still feel like I'm 18. But since I was 18, or even before that, I feel like I've spent the last 10 years hustling and working really hard. And I laugh because I'm going to keep making references to my mum because she's going to back up everything I say. My mum has been telling me for 10 years, slow down and smell the roses. Because I just haven't. I've just run a million miles per hour. If I say I'm going to do something, I go and do it. I've been busy building businesses. I've been busy just creating a life of independence. And we'll talk about independence tonight as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to a point where it didn't matter how, I couldn't work any harder. I felt like it didn't matter how much more effort I threw at things, how much I couldn't be any more committed. I couldn't work any harder. I just felt energetically burnt out and uninspired. I felt disconnected from my intuition. And I know that's another conversation we're going to have tonight. I have been someone who has been spiritual in my past. I've taken and made crazy choices when they don't make sense in my logic, but I've just known deep down it was the right thing to do. But I felt so disconnected from anything. I felt like I was in the rat race, felt like I was just doing the same day over and over again with no inspiration, no guidance. And I just was like, I don't have any faith. from here. I don't know where I'm supposed to go from here. And I talk at the start of my book, if you've read it, I have a panic attack. And that was actually the first thing that inspired me to start writing. And that's kind of where the journey starts. I'd love to know, like, pop in the chat. I know we did this when we were at the live launch. Everyone could raise their hand. Maybe you can raise your hand now, pop in the chat and just say, have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt energetically blocked, uninspired, disconnected, just doing the same thing every day, but just not really knowing what you're doing it for?
Yeah. And that was her rupture, right? And what I want everyone to know, this is how that's what I'm here for, is to make sure that you know wherever you're at in your journey as a woman. And this is the thing, the book, and actually I did say this at the live launch as well, wherever you're at in your journey as a woman in life, there are aspects of womanhood, essentially, whether it be monogamy or motherhood or cheating, or which, like, Rosie doesn't do that, but she talks about, like, she questions monogamy in the book, and we get to that as well. Or panic attacks, or whatever, or sexuality, whatever it is for you, there are aspects in the book that may trigger you. And I love that for you. Lean in. And there may be aspects of tonight that we talk about. It is very respectful, but that may trigger you. Beautiful. Lean in. But what I want you to know is, like, when I asked the question about Lozzie saying there's a rupture, right? She had a panic attack in the bath when you read the book. And she had to get out of the bath, and she was read it, but she was on the bathroom floor, and it was a moment for her, right? But I always say, from that rupture, there was beautiful rapture. There was a beautiful repair. You know,
inspired the book. It's the whole Surrender project. It all stems from that, right?
Yeah. So wherever you're at in life at the moment, whether it's you're struggling in your marriage, or you're stressed out, or you're questioning femininity, or you are burnt out,
all the things.
Yeah, it's like, just know, this has the answers, but know that on the other side of that, there is healing and diversity and all the good things. Okay, so I'm going to start here because this is important to actually speak to what we just said. Lozzie. By the way, I bookmarked this, Lozzie. These are my favorite aspects of the book that we are going to talk about tonight. Let's do it. I'm going to stay on it. But Daniela says, because recording won't know, she said, Lozzie, in that moment, did you feel like a sense of direction once you started writing, or was it more like a coping strategy that eventually sparked an idea of your book?
I don't know if you started reading it, Daniela, but when I had a panic attack, I actually had a download. I don't know if it sounds woo-woo, because for me it did. Like, I know I said I believe in spirituality, but this book is me being really woo-woo. I had a download that came through which told me to start writing, and that it was going to be a book. And I just picked up a pen. I just did what it told me to do, and I started writing. So I didn't, like, it's not like I intentionally wrote. It was like, this is going to be a book. I was like, something's telling me I've got to write, and it's going to be a book. And in the process of writing, it was definitely a coping mechanism for me. It was a way for me to understand how I was feeling and journal. But every time I journal, actually, if you read the book, you'll understand this. For me personally, this is exactly how my first book came about as too. That's when I felt connected to my intuition. That's when I felt connected to something bigger. It's a download that comes through me. And so the writing was definitely a way of me connecting to my intuition and coping with it. But it's kind of, I guess it comes hand in hand. The direction came through the writing. And a big part of the book is actually, when I talk about spirituality, is I encourage people to sit in silence and to stop paying. Definitely there's a space for strengths and coaches. I'm not saying that. But I think a lot of people would save a lot of time and energy if they took the time to sit in silence and write, and you'd be surprised a lot of the answers and the guidance you're looking for would come from you.
Stay on that for a second. Can I just get a pulse of you all, those that have their camera on? Hands up, because obviously the book talks a lot about, it's the feminine. To me, the book, The Surrender Project, is the journey of the feminine. And Lauren speaks to it, that you were sowing your masculine, and you learn to surrender essentially to the feminine, which is energy. So hands up if you feel like you are across or feel confident with what's the feminine, what's the masculine, the energies. Could you put it in the chat?
As in, yes, you know, or no, you don't know?
Like, yeah, you're confident on knowing like the feminine energy, masculine energy. Yeah. How to say yeah. Yeah, awesome. Beautiful. Perfect, because we're going to talk about it. So just so you will know, at the live event when we asked that, I would say
Most of the room
wasn't. They were like, no. So we just went into that. So that's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Confident no, beautiful. Okay, so in saying that then, this will all make sense. Beautiful. Okay, so in the book, I'm starting right here. Lizzie, you say the whole point of this surrender project is to try to stop judging and giving everything meaning. It is just to surrender to being. So I'll abandon this quest for answers for now and divert back to the task of leaning into what feels good. Now, I also want to know, hands up, or can you hands up or put it in the chat if your camera's off? How many of you, honestly, this is not, let's not, can I say, like, we're not here to fuck spiders, right? We're not here to lie. We're not here to perform. Performance is masculine, right? So be honest. How many of you can honestly say deep in your heart and soul that you know unequivocally what makes you feel good? I want it in the chat. Let's see it in the chat.
Put a yes or a no. Oh, we've got some hands.
I got
Put
some hands.
up.
Laura and I saw that. No, I don't. Not at all. No. Fuck spiders. Yeah. No. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for being honest. It's almost. Yes, I know. Yeah. Honoring you, Lisa. No. Yeah. Thank you for being honest. Thank you so much for being honest. And again, at the live event, honestly, 90% of the audience said no. So can we please start there, Lauren Kerr? And can you please explain, help them, because Lozzie was the same.
Oh, yeah.
And first of all,
yeah.
Lozzie was the same, okay? But you followed what felt good. And that is part of the feminine. So help them. What were the steps you took? Because most women can't even tap into their intuition enough to know what feels good. So what were the steps that you took to do that?
Yeah, that's where I was. And that's how I knew that I'd heard about leaning into your feminine before, and to be honest, it felt really woo-woo. And as you're reading the book, you'll hear me fight with the feminine pretty much all the way till the end until I fully surrender, because resting felt stupid to me. Vulnerability felt weak to me. Like, women using their sexuality and their beauty to get what they want felt manipulative to me and like cheating the system. Letting a man support you, to me, felt weak as well. Like, these are just some of my limited, like, these are my beliefs. Like I'm saying, if any of this triggers you, I'm like, this is the point. It's a journey, right? And all those things at the start is where I was like, I just feel like I'm trying to hustle. I'm trying to force things. I'm trying to make things happen. I feel burnt out, but I'm trying to do it all by myself. If I was just to stop trying to rationalize everything and plan everything and just let life happen or surrender to life and just enjoy it, what would that look like? And for the first time in a long time, like, I'm a pretty self-aware person, but that's where I found myself at the start of this book being like, I don't know. And it sounds so stupid, but I was trying all these different things. I'm like, that's not it. I don't feel it here. And what drove my head in more is the more logic I tried to put into it, the more I got further away from it. I was trying to think about it, plan it. And that's where I got to a point where I'm like, I'm going to stop analyzing everything and just lean into whatever feels good. And if you read this chapter, I end up coming to the conclusion it's sex, and it was a puppy.
Sex and a puppy. Yeah. No, but if you can't, if sex and a puppy isn't realistic for you, it was that. It was
no, but that was like the label, but it was sitting in quiet, and I think this
I was like, Lozzie.
I'm gonna go deeper. I'm gonna go deeper
because I'm all about sex and puppies.
Sex and puppies, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was, and this is the part of the feminine that I wasn't comfortable with. It was resting and sitting in quiet. How many of you sit in peace and quiet and just be? And I don't mean for a couple of minutes, because I did that, and that's where I was getting frustrated. I'd sit there for 2 minutes, like, yeah, nothing. I'm going to go back to listening to a podcast or watching the training. Or then I'd try to do it again. Like, 10 minutes have happened. Nothing's happened. Like, I mean, like, can you sit in quiet for 30 minutes?
Would you include though? I'm like, would you include a beach walk with no iPhone?
Yeah, like
and
it's connecting to nature. You don't have to just sit in a wall, but okay, like disconnect from noise, disconnect, because I think a lot of us, we think that we're sitting in quiet, but we're really listening to music or listening to a podcast or listening to training. Or if you've got a business, I know a lot of the women here have businesses, and that's what we're doing. We're so women who are in their masculine, we're so used to multitasking, doing 100 things at once, that we don't actually just disconnect from noise and sit in quiet and think, and like let intuition find you, let creativity find you, let the downloads find you. And I think a lot of us, we're trying to make feminine happen, like we're trying to be zen, but we give it like a go for like 5 minutes, like, oh, that didn't work, let's pop the podcast back in. So yeah, I guess coming back to how did that look for me, it was really hard. And when you're reading the book, you realize it didn't come to me straight away. You feel and you get to come along the journey. I forced it for a really long time until one day just like, oh, I really am just leaning into what feels good. And it felt so foreign. And that's the sad part. And that's how I know this book and this conversation is needed. When did we start making it so complicated that we don't know what feels good? How did something so simple be something that we need a book on?
But get inspired and excited by that as well.
Yeah.
I think when you can't, all of that. And I think for me, so this is why Lozzie, like, I'm here, I'm the best friend, yes, but Lozzie's watched me had tried same thing for years. So as Lozzie went on her journey, I was incredibly inspired, and I've gone on my whole journey. But what I learned recently, to speak to what Lozzie just said, is you cannot intellectualize your way into the feminine, right? So as the masculine, again, it's energy, but as females desperately seeking that surrender and that softness and that trust and that intuition, we try to intellectualize it. So whilst we're trying to be feminine, we're listening to podcasts on the feminine and we're reading books on the feminine. Now read the book, you must read the book, but it is about that. So where Lozzie began, and I've watched her, I know her, I've read the book, she's the embodiment of it. When I was reading, I said this in the live launch, I said, I didn't recognize my best friend. I remember her as that. But as I'm reading the big 3/4 of the book, I was like, this isn't Lozzie. Like the struggle and the frustration, and that like she's so soft and she's so surrendered and she's so trusting. But it started with the stillness. So start in the stillness.
Yeah. And it's very uncomfortable. I know for some of you it might feel really simple, but for those of you who are in the thick of it and understand, and maybe you're on the same journey, that was so foreign to me.
Yeah. Do you want to speak? So Michelle just said, I think there's been a huge masculine energy over the last few decades, and the feminine energy has had to. Actually, I'll lead into
that's
Michelle.
Like an independence talk that we go into.
Yeah, great question, Michelle, or great comment, Michelle, because in the book also, Lozzie says that I am ordering a big, juicy life of love, passion, hot sex. Sorry, mum, not even sorry. Trust, magic, miracles, flow, sunshine, and family off the menu. Okay, so love, passion, hot sex, trust, magic, all the feminine, beautiful divinity, our birthright, right? But Lozzie, do you honestly think that you could have done that in the masculine? Driven, motivated, pushing, disciplined, hard, all the things.
No. And like for those of you, you might be far on this journey and this all makes sense to you, but when this is me unlocking it, and I'm obviously this is what tonight's about, sharing it and talking it through with you, but I couldn't unlock, I could even tease those out one by one. I couldn't unlock faith and fun in the masculine, because that's when you're forcing things and trying to control things, and there's no opportunity for spontaneity or magic to happen, because everything's on your timeline and everything's in your schedule, and there's no room for anything that's not in your plan to just happen. Like, let life happen. I couldn't unlock unlimited abundance. Like in regards to income, I've got success in my business, but something that I have learned from 10 years doing this now is that if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you've got to go with others. And others is collaboration. Like doing it yourself is in your masculine. It's the you show. It's like, I can get everything done. Give it to me. I'll do it. I trust me. I'm disciplined. I show up. I do all the things. Feminine is relinquishing control and trusting that you can bring on a team and trust that someone else is going to do it. And it's allowing other people to step into the light, and it's allowing collaboration. And that's what allows when one woman rises, we all rise together. And that was something, even that, just this space in the business space and in the money space, femininity is what allows you to unlock that abundance where you don't burn out. And it's not just about you trying to do it all, because that's not leverage either. And that's not joy. And I see so many women in their masculine try and force business and make money and try to be independent, and they get so far, but then it comes at the expense of their relationships. They end up having adrenal fatigue, they end up having hormonal issues, they end up having fertility issues. So it was a balance. And talking about like hot sex and passion, like let's talk about it. It's really hard to find that passion when there's no polarity in a relationship. And if you're somebody, it doesn't matter if you're in a bisexual relationship or a straight relationship, the way the passion works is there has to be a feminine energy and there has to be a masculine energy. As a woman, if you're in your masculine and you're doing all the things and you're looking after yourself, you don't allow your partner the opportunity to come in and look after you and comfort you and be the provider. Sometimes you may be taking
be the king.
Yeah, be the king.
And that's the same sex as well. Like it's an energy.
Yeah, it's an energy. Like I said, you need to have polarity in the energies. But if you're both masculine or you're both feminine, you're not going to have that attraction or that hot sex or that passion that you're looking for. And the sad thing is that's where a lot of people go and try to find it elsewhere, thinking it's something that they're going to find in another relationship, when it's really, when you do the inner work, it's something that's available to you now in the relationship that you're in. But yes, all those beautiful things that I was wanting, that's where I was at the start of the book. I could keep trying to, like you said, logically, like intellectualize things, but none of that was available to me in my masculine. And this surrender project was me unlocking a lot of the things I'd been wanting. I just didn't quite know how to relax into access. That's the
surrender,
surrender into.
Yeah. So I want to say this, like, I just want to stay on this for a second, because we did definitely go here in the live launch, and I had shared my experience of polarity in a marriage breakdown, if you know me. So in the chat, because there's like maybe, I don't know, we've just got one screen, but put in the chat, and again, please be honest, safe space. No one knows what you're going to say. Be honest. You're only lying to yourself if you lie. But how many of you, yes, no? So hands up, actually write M or F. Put an M or an F if you genuinely feel, as of your life right now, you're in your masculine or your feminine energy. Let's get a pulse of that. Let's go there. Let's fuck it up, ladies. Let's fuck it up. Beautiful. Yeah. M. We see you. I especially honor you as the co-host. Beautiful. So I want to stay here for a second. Yeah. M. So let's stay on the polarity for a second. I know this is like off book, essentially. It's not, it's so on book, but you talked about the polarity and what we all want. And again, ladies, maybe just say yes. Like say yes if you would like to be, like if you're craving to be ravished, if you're wanting that polarity in your relationship, if you want that masculine king to, yes.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think it's a secret that those Colleen Hoover books are going off right now. Everyone's craving Lozzie has his private chat with my other best friend Gretchen, and it's just all these sexy novels.
Okay. I was like,
I know. I'm like, they're hype right now. Girls are craving this, and it's
guilty.
Yeah, guilty.
All right, let's stay here. Let's give the people what they want. I get it, and I want to honor you all. Thank you for your honesty. And I'll speak now, because it was the polarity for us as well. So Lozzie just said it, and I want you to unpack it more, because you're phenomenal at it. So I want you to talk more, and it's so important, and get real and get honest around the feminine energy, which is what you surrendered to, and you talk about it in the book as well, and it can trigger so many women, because we've been independent, which I'll talk about in the book, for so long, and I'm not putting down ever. I was a part of it, the boss babe culture, but we have been these independent women for so long. And you can talk about this actually in a second. I'll pull it out of you. But I want to stay on this polarity of masculine energy. And then we're craving to be ravished. We're craving that man to come home and be the king and ravish us. And yet it's not happening. And yet we're angry at the man, right? And we're pointing the finger. I was pointing the finger and frustrated at my now ex-husband. But I was in my masculine. I had completely stripped the polarity out of my marriage because I was in the masculine. So then when I want him to be this, ravishing king, there's no space for it because I took up that energy, right? So talk about that polarity. Talk about the importance of a woman surrendering and softening into her femininity. So when the man does come home as a protector and provider, he can also ravish his woman because they all want it.
They do want it. Oh my gosh, I could take this in so many different ways. I'm just going to keep coming back to the book. I'm going to tease some things that I will. I'm going to tease some things out for you. I talk openly in the book. Like, I don't know, let's just have girls chat. I'm talking to you now.
Yeah, it's like
I'm talking to you. Let's talk. I think about in my 20s. I love that we're all girls. I'm the girls now. In my 20s, and pop a yes in the chat if you can resonate with this. You catch up with your girlfriends. A main topic of discussion a lot of the time is sex, because most of us are single in our 20s. Some of us got real mad really early. Yeah. But who are we seeing? Like, did you sleep with them? Was the sex good? Like, oh my gosh.
These girls still have to hear it now.
Like, yes, like sex is a topic of conversation. It's amazing. It's what lights us up. It's what engages us. It's what makes us magnetic. It's that sexual energy. It's what turns us on. Like lights us up, like literally in the face. And then you get to your 30s and you have kids, or the topic stop talking about sex. It's like marriage and babies and investments and mortgages and bills. And then we stop paying so much attention to sex when it is a big part of what as women lights us up, and it keeps marriages working.
Well, and femininity.
Yeah.
Sensuality is part of femininity.
Yeah.
100%.
And so where I was in the book was, I'm like, I want sex to take up brain space again. Like, and what wasn't happening because we weren't talking about was so in the depth of everything else that I was talking to my girlfriends and but let's be honest, how many of you confide in girlfriends? You might be married and happy in a relationship, but you're like, oh mate, did you see that guy at the gym? Oh, it was hot. Or you're living vicariously through your single friends and you're like, oh, I would have taken him home too. He was good. Like, good. Like, how was it? And you're like reliving that. And the conversation I was having with my girlfriend.
We're laughing so hard because it's so relative, bro. It's so relative.
We've got two married girls on the couch and a single girl in the middle. But we enjoy these conversations, and then you come home to your partner and you're like, why is this no longer important? And what I realized, and this is where I go on the journey, is I'll be honest, and I want to be honest, because 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce.
Yeah.
And a big part of that, and I find and my background, like I said, if you don't know, is in psychology. So everything I'm talking about in the book, it's me living the experience. I know things conceptually, and I know the research. I studied sex and gender psychology. In my book, I share the research and the evolution of women's sexuality and psychology because I love it. Like, I love learning about it. I find it so interesting. But living it, and in this book is my experience of it, what I found, and I found myself being one of these women that I read the research about, I was happily married, but I couldn't help but find myself looking for attention outside my relationship. Like, I want to be ravished. I want someone to love me. I want someone to find me sexy. I want passion again. Like, where has that gone? And then I look at my mum and dad have been married for like, I don't even know how many years now. I was at 30 something this year. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've only been married for 2 years. How am I going to survive the next 28? Like, or 3 years this year. So I started talking about monogamy, and I started reading the books. And a big part of it was this polarity in sexuality. And I think it might feel foreign, it might feel silly, and to me it did. And I started understanding and unpacking that for me to find what I was looking for outside my marriage, it actually meant within my marriage softening. It actually meant within my marriage leaning into my femininity. It actually meant within my marriage being vulnerable. It actually meant within my marriage stop being so independent and doing everything by myself and let my husband show up for me. And I don't know if many of you are on the same journey as me, but it's so freaking foreign and scary, and that's not how I spent the last 10 years building my life.
Yeah. And I didn't even plan this, but this is how destiny works. So so first of all, it's such a big thing. So because the chat went ridiculous, like fire, when we were talking about who wants to be ravished, like, oh, right? That's, we're all here. We all want that. But it's that. Lozzie just said it. And it's so big and it's scary and it's uncomfortable and it's unknown for so many of us because we have been independent, which I'm going to go into now, for so long. But that's the key, right? If we want that, and we all do, you've all beautifully been honest, and I honor and see you all so much. And I had to learn this. I can be so vulnerable, and here are my scars and all about it, because I was not that woman myself. I was the masculine, I was the earner, I was the independent woman. You know, I wanted to be ravished, but I had the bigger dick, essentially. Like, I was the one that, you know, came home beating my chest without it, and it wasn't physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I was. And all of us are, right? Because masculine, right? And so Lozzie just handed you the keys to the kingdom, essentially. And the book is that as well, but it is that softening, and it is that surrendering. And again, this is why I'm passionate about the book. I know you're my best friend, but I'm passionate about the book because I know that this is the biggest thing for most women in today's day and age. And let's go there now about independence. But we've forgotten how to be those women almost, and talk to that. So why are we this way, right? What happened beautifully? I think it's a empowering reason why we kind of are these independent boss babes these days that don't know how to allow a man to provide and protect and to give that polarity. But talk about why, you know, because our mothers fought for our freedom. Yeah, it's like we want to honor that.
Yeah. You didn't read that now. I'll read that.
Yeah,
I'll read it. I was like, do you want to read that and then I can talk from that, or will that round it up? I don't know.
So I've highlighted a part in the book, and it leads into this so beautifully. But Lozzie says, yes, independence got me to where I am today. It made me successful. It fueled me for nearly a decade, but it cannot carry me any longer. Independence used to get me fired up and passionate, not only about my own journey, but empowering other women with their finances and support to be independent. But it's no longer an energetic match for where I am or where I want to go. So unpack it. Why are we these independent babes that can't let go of that control and surrender into that softening?
I'd love to check the pulse too. Put an I in the chat if that's been part of your identity, independence. Like, I can do this. I've got me. I will do it. I won't rely on anyone. Don't worry about it. I can do it. I can do it quicker. I can, yeah.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Don't worry, babe.
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So I'm talking to my people.
Yeah, big time. Everyone.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So what was the original question? Where do I go
the
with
independence.
that?
So we were.
Why are we like that?
Yeah. Because our mothers.
Yeah.
And our grandmothers.
Yeah. So like I'm so excited you haven't read the book. I'm so excited for you to read this, because I hope everything I say is putting context tonight. Because what I'm going to say, it is with my experience, but also is backed by research and psychology as well. So I don't want you to just think I'm just saying hearsay. This is kind of where our generation at. And I think our generation is a generation that's really unique because we have never had as many rights as we do right now. Like, if we want something, we can go do it. And that's so freaking exciting. Like, what an opportunity. If you talk to your mum or your grandma or the generations before you, like, the opportunities that we have right now to earn like men, live like men, fuck like men. We have contraception now. We are so much more in control of our sexuality and who we sleep with. Like, vote. Like, we actually don't even need men anymore. Like, there is research and science.
Actually, no.
No, we don't.
Dildos.
No,
I was like, hang on. Oh, no.
But we have lived and worked in a man's world for so long. But at the moment, in this current generation, we have never had as much right or as much freedom. We still have a long way to go, don't get me wrong. But I think the reason why our generation in particular is so independent is because we know that. And we do not want to abuse our privilege. We feel like if we can earn like men, then why shouldn't we? If we can make money and be a mum, then why aren't we? If we can do all the things that men can do, then why aren't we doing it? And so I feel like at the same time as us feeling like we can and we should, and a lot of us are doing it. It's like that boss babe movement. It's a hustle movement. A lot of us, and tonight's a perfect example, a lot of us are and have lived in our masculine for so long, but in the process of living in our masculine and being independent, we realize we actually don't want it.
Yeah, we're burned out.
We're burning out. We don't. The biggest surprise for me, and I like really honestly, for me, I've always wanted to be a mum, and I've always found my identity in my money, my career, my independence. Now, it's interesting because I've spoken to a lot of successful women who have become mums for the first time in the last 12 months, and we're all surprised by how much we actually just want to be a mum.
But talk, because there's a piece in the book about this around peace equals stagnation.
Yeah. And I guess before I lean into that, but the whole thing about I think this is the first generation where we feel the guilt where we can't just be a mum. Why can we not just be enough feminine? Why has that come in this generation? Because, and a lot of us know, because of the generations that have gone before us, that we have the right and we want to do better. We've seen what sacrifices our parents have made, or our mothers have made, and our grandmothers have made, but it all falls on our shoulders. So as much as we feel the privilege of it, we feel the contradiction of it, because as we're trying to work as men, we're cheating ourselves of being the gift of being a woman, of being looked after, of slowing down, of being able to enjoy motherhood. And it's the first generation where we feel like we have to do both. And as we're doing both, we're losing the core of what it means to be a woman. And we're sitting on calls and reading books about, like, I had to go on a project. I had to learn how to surrender. Like, it wasn't a thing that just felt natural to me anymore. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And I'm like, at what point did we lose our essence of what it means to be a woman? And it's from living in a man's world so long. And I guess coming back to what you just said, like, the thing for me around leaning into my femininity and the stillness part we were talking about at the start, one of my biggest fears was stillness would lead to stagnation. I thought that peace meant that I wasn't moving and I wasn't achieving and that I was going to lose everything. And the whole part, like a big part of femininity, is trusting and holding what you have and knowing that you're enough to attract more in your feminine. And when you're in your feminine, you are magnetic. Like, you turn heads. Like, people are attracted to that in business, men, sexual energy, money.
You are magnetic.
You are magnetic.
Magnetic and radiant.
And you can attract way more with ease in your feminine than you can forcing in your masculine. It's our gift as a woman.
And it's the gift of the masculine as well. If we want to go back to the rubbish, because we all do, right? Masculine and that, what Lozzie just explained, being that feminine energy and being magnetic and radiant, that's what the masculine craves as well. And so when you can be that soft, surrendered woman, which is beautiful, if this triggers you, good. Like, being the soft, feminine, surrendered woman in the home, that'll get you ravished.
It's so funny. I just want to quickly interject, and if you read this, you'll know. And I actually put the books in the back as well. I think even at the start, it's in the book. I recommend the books that I read that helped me surrender into my feminine, because it triggered the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
It was everything the last 10 years I've tried not to be. I don't want to be the housewife. I make the money. I make the calls. I don't need you. I'm independent. And all these books that I was reading were telling me to do the complete opposite of everything that has triggered me for so long, that I thought was weak. I thought I don't need that.
Because I'm in the middle of this.
Hello. Thank you. But yeah, just sorry, back to that. Like,
yeah,
if it's triggering you, good, because that's where I was. And that's where, you know, you got to lean in, let your triggers lean into you, because I'm like, I'm not that girl. I work too hard not to be that girl. And be open to having your beliefs change and understanding it's for the polarity that you're seeking. And the reason a lot of us are seeking it outside of marriages or outside of our current relationships is you don't currently have that polarity in your relationship.
And let me offer as well, because this is like the polarity of us as well, and I did this on the night. I'm single. To all of our married queens on here, I'm proud of you. And I was married for 14 years, or in a relationship and married, but I also honor and very in my feminine, right? Radiant, magnetic, all the things.
Now,
not prior at all. But I want to say, so many of you related to, I'd say 50, no, I'd say 80-20, say 80% just related to, I just want to be the mum, right? I'm ready to just actually be the mum that supports the home. And that's what I want as well. But I'm also a mummy that's going to earn millions, right? And so I always say you can have both, in the sense that I have said that right now I'm in my feminine. I really want to speak, because you honor this in the book as well, and you are this woman too, that I watched Lozzie do this today in her feminine, but I am very in my feminine today, building empires in the feminine. Men would die and I take saunas in the middle of the day. I'm very in flow, all of the things, but I'm building my empires in my feminine to make sure that when the king and the kids come, the most important empire I build is the home. So it's still honoring that I am still known as this fierce woman entrepreneur, but I'm building it with systems and structures right now. So when the king and the kids come, I'm in my feminine. And the most important kingdom I build is the home. So you get to own that, is the point.
Yeah, and I just don't want to get that misconstrued either. Being your feminine doesn't mean that you have to give up all your things and your dreams. That's not what it's about either. But it's allowing the space for someone to, trusting that someone can look after you as well. And I wasn't allowing that space.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm showing you.
And a lot of women, and I was talking to my girlfriends, they're craving that dominance. That's why you're looking at other people. You're looking for this king. You're looking for this sexuality, this polarity outside your marriage or your relationship. But you're not allowing yourself to be dominated in your relationship.
Well, let's go there, because I've got this whole chapter. So Lozzie talks about monogamy in the book. Daniela, I'll read that in a sec. So you talk about, I literally just wrote, I highlighted things, and then when Lozzie started to talk about monogamy, I wrote in highlighter this whole chapter, right? So, so let's talk about it. So in the book, you say, and stay on that, because you just said you want to get dominated, but you could get dominated in your own marriage. Huge. So in the book, you talk about this social construct, essentially, of marriage and where it all came from. So you say, I've been reading about the evolution of sexuality and gender psychology for fun. I read about naughty things for fun, but there we go. And she says, if I'm honest, I have to admit that something that I keep coming back to is the concept of monogamy. And you go on to say, you read about it, and basically a bunch of humans got together hundreds of years ago and decided that they would have private properties and no longer live in tribes where childbearing and resources were shared. However, each man would need to own his woman. And you go in to challenge the construct of monogamy, and I know where you are at, because we talked about it at that stage in your life. So that's where a lot of women are at. We don't need you to say, be honest, because I know where most of you are at. It is that you want to get ravished, right? You've all said it. You're seeking for that domination. You're hungry for it, and you're not necessarily getting it in your marriage or your partnership. But how can that? But also, and just talk about that. Talk about the chapter 16 of monogamy, where you were at, what you believe, and what you believe now. This is
it's big. And I want to say in a very, I'm mindful, it's going to trigger some people, and it triggered me at the start. This is the whole point of the journey, right? But I was intertwining everything that I was personally living and knowing and experiencing with what I also know with research and psychology, and trying to make sense of it, because what I was experiencing and what I was reading, I thought would be two different things, but it was actually the same thing. And what I mean by that, I was reading sex and gender psychology books, and the research was telling me that, you guys know, 1 in 2 marriages end in divorce. And then I was reading a statistic that 1/3 of people have been they've cheated, whether they're the one who has done the infidelity, or they've been at the other end of infidelity. And that's what people report. So that's what people are going to openly admit to. I wonder what the actual statistics are of people that don't talk about it. And honest conversation too. What triggered the conversation was, I remember talking to my husband about marriage, and on our wedding day, I looked around in the crowd, and I could pinpoint nearly every person in the crowd they were one person away from infidelity, whether it was they had cheated, their sister had cheated, their partner had cheated on them at some point, their mum or dad had cheated, their friend had cheated. Like everyone I had knew intimately had someone in their circle that had cheated on a partner. So then it got me questioning if monogamy is something that the wider population all buy into. It's like this thing that we celebrate. You get married, you grow up and you get married and you have kids. If it's so natural, how come so many of us are swaying from it or have such an issue staying with it? Because a lot of the people that I had seen who had been at the other end of infidelity or were the ones who were doing it, there were still people that I loved, that respected, that had great jobs, that had big hearts. They never meant to hurt anyone in the process. But if something is so natural, why are we having such a hard time sticking to it? Like 1 in 2 or 1 in 3, that's a pretty big number for me. I don't know about you guys. And then it's like I said, it was never about right or wrong, but it just got me questioning, why is it actually that natural? When I started to do the gender and the research, I realized the evolution of psychology and where marriages come from, and like not even that long ago, like, and still today in most tribes out of the Western world, even in the Western world, people, they don't talk about it. They're not just sleeping with their partner for the rest of their life. Monogamy actually doesn't happen. Serial monogamy may. They're with one person that doesn't work out and they go and sleep with somebody else. But the idea of being with one person for the next 50, 60 years, and if you are in that kind of relationship, that is something to be treasured, because a lot of people are struggling to keep that love and light alive. They're looking for it outside of it. So I guess that's what started the conversation. And once I looked at the numbers, I realized it wasn't actually a stupid conversation to have. The numbers are so large, and why do I feel so taboo having those thoughts when they're actually not that abnormal? We're just not talking about it. I make this reference. It's like a dog pissing in the spare room, hoping its owner doesn't find him. That's what a lot of people are doing. We're like doing this little thing in secret, hoping that nobody's going to know about it. Nobody's going to talk about it. But a lot of people are doing it. So that's where that was. That's the context of that.
And then you go on to say, sorry, in the book, you say how, and this is a big thing for you, the entire book is kind of steeped in this, around not feeling bad, around questioning, like create your own definition of everything.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily, do you want to speak to that? Like, don't necessarily take what society is telling you as Bible.
Yeah, and all the topics I talk about in the book, like you see me unpack so many things personally, whether it's my beliefs around money, marriage, monogamy, sex, spirituality, business, how psychics, like all the things, how things I had been told that were truth, and me challenging them. And I guess the idea of the whole book is I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I just want you to feel safe. I just want you to feel safe to question some of these things. And for me, that chapter is about me questioning. And I don't want to give the ending away, but I do come to my own conclusion what marriage looks like for me, and how I can personally find the passion and that sex within my marriage. But the thoughts of you finding it outside of your marriage aren't taboo. And that's the conversation I want to bring here, because I feel like that's why so many relationships aren't going the mile, because you think the things that you're having, you're wrong for thinking them, or something's broken. When the women's sexuality, actually, a lot of the things we've been told about our sexuality is actually false. And this book is a really beautiful opportunity to unpack that and be like, what's your truth? Not what you think you should feel like, but what is your truth for you and for your partner, or the partner you want to call it, or no partner.
This is what I love about having, like, off cuff. This is what I love about having a really smart, intellectual, psych friend. When she came over tonight, I was telling her about my tryst on the weekend. I was like, and then this happened, and then it was so fun. She's like, yeah, because, and you said, but you were like, women crave. Say what you said. Like, I love
so much. For women's sexuality, for you to admire your partner and to enjoy sex, or not just sex, just like a sexual tension and energy. Women need novelty. You need to keep things spicy. You need new things. Women also want to be desired. So there's some research and stats for you. Women, when they're having sex, a lot of the times they're actually looking at themselves in the mirror more than they're looking at their partner.
And that was the story I told her. I was looking in the mirror, and she's like, yes, because that's real for women.
Women what turns women on is wanting to be desired. How many of you actually? Let's put a true in the
chat.
Let's
go true.
Fun. When you get dressed up, it might be different because some of you might not be in a relationship, but maybe compared to a relationship you have been in, you go get ready, you get dressed, and you ask your partner what you should wear, and you end up wearing the opposite to what they say. Have any of you done that? Yeah, and Your husband's like, why even ask me if you don't wear? It's because
True,
you
true.
don't want to be appealing to your husband. You like the
wanna
thought
be
of being
sexy.
desired and sexy to somebody else's eyes. It's not
Yeah.
about you wanting to take someone else home, but how women's sexuality works is we want to be desired. We want to know someone else's desires us. They don't have to have us, but it's that desirability that makes us feel sexy. So just some of these things, the things I talk about in the book, it's a novelty. It's us women like to be desired. We have sexual fluidity too, which means I was talking about this as well. Like women can appreciate another woman being sexy. Like it's not about us being bisexual or any of those things. We can go on a whole tangent for this, but anyway, women's sexuality.
That's going to be Lozzie's third book. I'm making her write a third book.
It's very interesting, and I just think a lot of women have been told that you've got to be the housewife or you've got to whatever it might be, but sexuality is such a big part of who we are, and a lot of the times we're feeling so numb and not turned on, like as in lit up or magnetic or just radiant, because you're buying into some bullshit story that isn't actually true, that society is telling us to keep us controlled and to keep us in places where we're just safe.
Yeah, and especially women. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up.
Yeah, we could go on forever.
I'm going to get Lozzie to write a third book around everything that she coaches me on at the moment, around lust and love, which I love. Okay, so in the book you say, this is probably this is like near the end. I want to say as well, everything we just dove deep on, which is the most, I just feel like it is the most important part. I feel like this conversation we've just had for probably the last 20 minutes, the sex, the polarity, the ravishment, the like seeking of it, the cheat, all of that is in like the second half of the book. And you wrap it up. I remember calling Lozzie, like voice messaging you when I finished the book. I read it in a day and I said, oh, I went there. It was so important. It was so powerful. But she wrapped it up. I said, it was so important to me that you wrapped it up how you did in the bow that you did. And it's going to give women so much like empowered closure. So like it's important. It is honestly important for you, your life, your sensuality, your femininity. Okay. Final paragraph. So you say, it's a season of rest and consolidation. Yes, women can have it all, be it all, but we actually don't have to. In the pursuit of trying to do that, we are also denying our femininity. It's okay to receive. It's okay to slow down. There is empowerment in that too. Give them the permission.
It's just so special spending tonight with you, and I hope this is serving you in yours on your own surrender project as well. And it sounds like a lot of you are in your masculine, and this is going to be a journey that you're going to embark on as well. And this journey was over 3 years for me. Well, the book was a 3 year for like bringing it to fruition, but who I am when I start writing the book is not who I am as I finish it. I just hope that inspires you and gives you some excitement of like who you get to be and the journey you get to go on, because it has been the most beautiful journey. And I can say on the other end of it that I have finally learned, I don't just say this, like it's not just words, like I believe this in every bone in my body, that you can have it all. And I run my business so differently now. I feel so different in my marriage. I'm now a mum, which is so not weird because I've always known I wanted to be a mum. I just feel that's my calling and I love being a mum. But the work that I do in the Surrender Project leading up to it, I think is why I have been able to enjoy this season of motherhood so much, and that transition from maiden to mother, because there is power in your softness. Like, and this, if I had told Lauren this 3 years ago, I would have called bullshit. So if that's still where you are and you're like, I don't believe a word you're saying, keep surrendering, because I promise you, like, there is power in your softness. You can get so much more done if you're worried about productivity. Like, no, my biggest fear was the whole thing about rest meaning stagnation or peace leading to stagnation. You can get so much more done in your femininity when and I talk about this in my book too, like synchro cycling, if you've never looked into that, understanding women, we're hormonally wired differently from men. Men have a 24-hour cycle. We have a 28-day cycle. Learning that and understanding that helps me unlock so much more in my business, in my relationships. And you can get, I guess the reason I'm talking into this is you can get so much more done in a small amount of time. Rest isn't wasting time, it's actually productive. And I used to think, when my mum used to tell me, so down to smell the roses, I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I got shit to do. Women, you can make magic resting. you can call in so much abundance in your feminine, which is like honoring your boundaries, loving and looking after yourself, allowing the space for someone to come and love and look after you, trusting that, and allowing outsourcing if you're a businesswoman, like leverage collaboration, like stop trying to do everything by yourself. And I think you'll be surprised when you let other people in, whether it's your partner, whether it's friends, you stop trying to do things by yourself, whether it's spirituality, no matter what you have, what faith you have, that softness is the most powerful thing that you have access to. And it's something that men just don't. And if you're trying to keep up in a men's world and keep doing life like a man, you really are cheating yourself out of all the beautiful gifts that you have access to as a woman as well.
Yeah. And you say in the book that and I've used this 1,000 times, so if you're following me now, it's like femininity is our superpower. So set them a challenge. We did that at the live book launch.
I don't remember what my challenge was.
The challenge was,
I do remind me.
The challenge was for your own surrender project.
Oh, yeah.
They must
I hope the book inspires you. If you haven't read it yet, and honestly, please do me, please. Like, if you've never written a book before, like this isn't just like you write a book and it just happens. Like this is my second book, and each and every one of them, it is so much money, energy, time bringing into the world. And the reason I write it and share it is for you. And I would just love, and you're reading it, if something resonates, please tell me what you're taking from it. And if it inspires you to go on your own surrender project, like tell me what that looks like. Like, what did you learn? What inspired you? What hit home from this book? What did you resonate with? At what point did you feel like I was in your brain having the same thoughts as you were? Because that's what inspires me to write the book. And my challenge for you on the back end of this is surrender. And it might be a 3-year journey. You might be already on the surrender project yourself, and maybe this is going to feel foreign to you like it did for me, because when I say this, I mean it. I was so out of, and if you're reading the book, you'll get it. Like even Anna laughed at the live launch, like, I kept reading it. I'm like, Lauren, you're still not getting the message.
Yeah, I was frustrated. I'm like, this isn't it, sis.
Like I was forcing it. And so I say that because I want you to understand, like, this isn't just me like writing a book, and like I've lived it. And if you haven't known me long enough to see my journey,
well, you'll feel it.
You will feel it. You'll feel it. The book takes you on that journey, but please surrender. It is the most beautiful, most beautiful journey you'll ever go on, and it unlocks so much abundance in your life in regards to your relationships, money, health, peace, sex, motherhood, if that's something that you're about to embark on or you're already in. I think a lot of the issues or challenges I see women navigating in this generation in particular come from not surrendering, feeling foreign. And that's why I'm really excited to have this conversation. I'm so grateful that you ladies are part of this conversation, because I feel like a lot of us are craving it, but we just don't know where to start it or how to put words to what we're feeling, or no one's creating a space for us to have those conversations. So I just wanted to thank you so much for coming tonight, and thank you, beautiful Anna, for hosting. Because another thing I just want to say, guys.
Oh, God.
No. Writing books, one thing. I can write books. I love writing books. Promoting books, talking about books. I just want to be the silent person behind the computer. I don't want to be here. I love everyone. I'm an introvert. You probably wouldn't believe it, but I don't want to be here. And so having Anna share the couch and spotlight with me means the world. So I just want to thank Anna for helping me bring this baby to life. It is so special, and I wouldn't have done it without you. Thank you.
I love you so much. And all of you, honestly, I think I get asked all the time. I have a phenomenal privilege and platform where I've been on my own journey of the feminine, and Lozzie watched that in me as well. And I get asked all of the time, what are the books to read? You know, where can I go to start? And that's why I was and am. I mean, best friend, yes, and it's not biased, but for me, I feed them to the book now, because I think we relate more. Facts tell, stories sell, right? And we need as women to feel. And I think I know for me that Lozzie's book reading, I'm like, I could never share my diary entries. Like, but she did, right? And that matters. And she does it in such a classy, respectful, important, needed way. And so for me, when anyone's saying, how did you, when I read it, I'm like, well, I can't articulate it necessarily, because you cannot articulate the feminine. The feminine cannot be intellectualized. It can only be felt. And it's so brilliant. And she doesn't even realize this, that you can feel another woman's diary entries, because it feels like you're reading your own, right? And so anyway, I honor you so much. I love you so much. Read the damn book. And as you go on your journey, surrender, absolutely. And tag Lozzie, like share, because I know how much it means to you to see and feel and watch women go on their own journey. So tag her, love on her, enjoy it.
Let's do a final cheers. Everyone, if you've got a glass, please, let's do a cheers. Thank you so much for spending your girls' night in with us. I appreciate you all. Enjoy reading. Yeah. If you think your girlfriend would love it, send them the link, tell them to buy it, and please send me a message and tell me what you think of it. But enjoy your weekend. Love and appreciate you all. Bye.
Bye.